Korean SEALs, Hell Week, Day 1 with G.I. Jane. What can be wrong with this video? Let's go.
지원 동기 대부분 내 자신을 이겨내고 싶다. 내 썩어 빠진 정신 상태를 고치고 싶다. 이 들었을 때 선발을 했습니다. 그래서 18명 선발했습니다.
So it looks like this thing's pretty heavily vetted to get guys that have a chance. And of course, it's television to make it entertaining. So they threw in the G.I. Jane element to this program. Now, the idea on its merits, having G.I. Jane there, as we'll call it, is great. As long as you don't change the standard to get a political point across, like the movie G.I. Jane, where they wanted to push a woman through buds in this case. She happened to be qualified in the movie, but you get the point. You want to make sure you don't reduce the standard, because ultimately these young men are the ones that will die for that reduction in said standard.
탈의실 안에 들어가서 보면은 각자 이름이 적혀져 있는 게 계십니다. 알겠습니까? 네! 한번 주십.
Question of the day. If you're a woman and you're going to this program, bunch of dudes, would you wear the leather mini skirt? Or was she wearing that for effect? I wouldn't. If I was a woman, I kind of want to fit in. You got a bunch of young studs that are going to be just looking. It creates an unnecessary distraction, we'll call it. What, dumbass can't tie his belt? Now, I did another program on this, check in the description. This instructor and this group of instructors is absolutely outstanding for this, at least television program. The other one got taken off Korean television. One of you guys sent me this, and they do an outstanding job. Even if you take out little pieces and you're just trying to lose weight, you're trying to watch how people behave under stress, I find this one to be less theatrical than the US versions.
HELLWEEK 환영합니다. 저는 여러분들의 교육대장입니다. 우리 교육생 18명 다 심한 경쟁률을 뚫고 이렇게 선발됐어요. 나름대로 다 엘리트입니다. 크로스핏 코치, 해병대, 특수수색대 출신, 육군 보병 장교 출신, 학군단 생도, 현직 배우, 그리고 퍼킹 백수까지 있습니다. 여러분들 공통점, 지원 동기, 자기 한계를 이겨내고 싶다. 썩어 빠진 정신 상태를 고치고 싶다.
There's a good quote. You want to correct your weak mindset. Think about that. Correct it. And you've got a cross section of America, or sorry, Korea here. You've probably all heard Jocko Willing's podcast where he talks about how the Navy selects people to go to buds. They've tried all these mechanisms. They really can't determine what characteristics make them up. So the jobless guy, the actor, maybe the rock star, maybe need more information on their backstory to figure it out as to why they're successful. Is there a reason? Put that in the comments. Is there a characteristic that we could define that makes people get through tough times? In this case, day one of this make-believe Hell Week.
자기 인생에 의미를 찾고 있다. 지원 잘했습니다. 하지만 여기 있는 사람들 다 수리는 못한다. 자기가 약하다고 생각하면 아무 때나 포기하시면 돼요.
동생 잘 들어. 기준. 대전. 양팔 간격 좌우로 나가니. 네. 기준이 움직이나. 전선. 한 시간으로 대답은 악이다. 알겠나?
정성훈. 어디서 많이 본 새끼인데 왜 지원했어?
한개 도전을 지원했습니다.
말도 못하네. 왜 이제 또 쪽팔리게 행동하려고?
갑니다.
두고 보자.
So I did some videos about recruiting in the military and what they should go after. All of these videos, without exception, everybody wants to test their metal, I'll call it. See their weaknesses. I don't care if you're an actor, jobless in this case, ROTC. Everyone wants to see what they're made of. They may not like the end result, but they still want to see it.
유명현입니다. 목소리 밖에 안 나와?
유명현입니다.
에이 새끼야! 이리 와. 여러분들 다 어리버리하니까 교육을 하겠습니다. 입수하는 방식, 내가 선미, 선수, 확인 이해됐어요? 입수는 여기 보시면 바가 두 개 있어요. 그 바 밑으로 들어갑니다. 아시겠죠? 시범 실시.
실시.
What the fuck? 이리 와! 선미부터 들어가라고 이 새끼야.
알겠습니다.
일로 들어가. 헤엄쳐가지고 일로 쳐나와. 알겠어? 입수!
입수.
So for any of you guys that have been in boot camp, you can remember the instructor tells you to do something and you miss a step. Pretty common in the civilian world. You just kind of do what you want. Now you're under stress and he says, jump underneath this thing, swim out. Obviously, don't lose your gear to include your cover. The guy's getting shit. Very appropriate.
다 이해됐습니까?
치료.
두!
이해됐죠? 이해.
누가 쳐나오래? 누가 쳐나오래? 정성훈. 너 SSU 아니야?
맞습니다.
근데 헤엄 못 쳐?
실시했습니다.
숨을 쉬어야 돼 중간에서.
아닙니다.
다시 해.
다시 하겠습니다.
쳐다봐, 해봐. 기다려.
저희 제대로 가도 되겠습니다.
도와줘. 우리 아직 안 들어간 사람 거들.
이육생.
확인 들어가.
선미부터 있잖아. 선미부터 누가 다이빙하래.
Now, for people who don't like water and confined spaces, small example, this will stress you out. Now, people are yelling at you. There's a camera in your face. You want to do well for your Instagram feed. I don't know that you can get over fear of water. I just don't know unless you got over it when you were young. For example, let's say you're into water sports, skiing, surfing, diving. That would help. But even then, now you have a different level of stress. You're not doing it casually for fun.
누가 숨 쉬래? 누가 숨 쉬어? 다시 해. 이해됐어?
예, 이해했습니다.
이 새끼 거. 여기서 들어가. 누가 숨 쉬래? 누가 숨 쉬래? 다시 해. 받은 게 what the fuck? 왜 이렇게 느려? 앉아. 다시 해. 빨리 들어가. 뭐가 문제예요? 장비 분출하지 마. 모자 어디 있어? 모자 써. 모자 써. 들어가.
Now, here's the thing. If instead of being a woman, it was a real tall guy, a fat guy, they'd get picked on. Now, you got to be careful. Since it is a woman, are they picking on her because of her gender? You know, that's the dilemma these guys run up against. Because if it's just an ugly guy, You can pick on them all day.
이번 훈련은 남자, 여자 구분 없이 공평하게 합니다. 아시겠죠? 다 동기입니다. 여러분들 18명이죠? 18명으로 서클 만들어가지고 애벌레처럼 다 연결이 될 겁니다. 실시! 실시! 콜. 빨리 리딩해. 없어, 미를 없어. 빨리 안 해. 빨리 안 해. 자, 엎드려 뻗쳐. 누가 여기 뻑킹 미루야? 누가 뻑킹 미루야? 5초 줄게. 5초. 그냥 올리죠. 4, 2.
Oh, so at this point, they're looking for somebody that's going to be encouraging, a leader, as he's saying, but someone who's going to help the other folks that are the weaklings. Down the road, they'll look for other qualities, but right now, someone who stands out, who's making an effort beyond looking for their own shit, not for their own perseverance.
누가 달래기래? 아이고 또 무너졌어.
올립니다. 바로 올립니다. 이렇게. 민중학생.
네가 민영 같은데 해봐.
바로 올립니다. 바로 올립니다. 좋아, 좋습니다. 오케이, 좋습니다.
다운.
다운.
끝까지 내려가. 끝까지. 업. 자, 힘을 올립니다. 다운.
Here's where the unconventional training comes into play, right? So you're hitting the gym, you're doing the XYZ special forces workout program. Now all of a sudden you're doing like unconventional stuff, putting stress on weird shoulders, doing things that you're not doing in the gym. That's where it's important. There's a playground around. Go to the monkey bars, run the playground, do things that are unconventional, stretching. There's an element of luck here. You don't get hurt. That keeps you out of training. You tear a shoulder, knee, or something. But the more flexible and light on your feet, the better you'll be.
정중앙에서 서클 정중앙. 누구 때문에 무너졌어?
팀워크가 부족했습니다.
딱 한 명이 쓰러지면 전체가 다 쓰러져. 알겠어? 그래서 팀워크가 중요해. 요원들이 먼저 시범을 하고 여러분들 목통 유교로 바로 들어가겠습니다. 그럼 알겠습니다. 오케이, 홈!
오케이, 홈.
머리에 홈!
머리에 홈.
좌측 어깨 홈!
좌측 어깨 홈.
홈!
Now here's where you really find out the weak links, right? There's 4 people in the line. One guy's dogging it. Next thing you know, you get the log against the head. It hits you in the shoulder wrong. Then you get pissed. Then people start fighting. You've seen that in other videos. So he's showing them, okay, here's how you do it, and kind of almost like marching in formation. You don't get hurt, and it makes it easier. Now, if they gave everybody the equivalent amount of dumbbells, no problem. Now you've got a log. It looks ominous. You got to do it together.
여기서 제일 키 작은 사람 누구야?
김명기,
누구야?
김승호,
구성현.
기준. 엎드려 보겠습니다.
기준!
정원, 해체 보여.
야, 누가 외국인 챙겨야 될 거 아니야.
자, 목공이 몇 개 있습니까?
3개 있습니다!
입으로 키를 맞추는 거예요. 목공 3개 있으니까 공에 몇 명 들어가요? 정원, 해체 보여. 수령 잘 됐습니다. 목공 대기 준비.
Now you notice there, they called the one non-Korean looking person, I think it was a man, a foreigner. So most cultures pretty much recognize, let's say you're Korean. You can identify as Korean. If you're Chinese, we happen to be unique in America. We've got a blending of all cultures, but it is different in other places. And this is a current video. Imagine calling someone, hey, help the foreigner out. We probably would have some issues on television.
팀장은 하고 싶은 사람이 튀어나와서 해.
만약에 그 팀장이 셔터벅이면 그 팀장이 잘리고 다음 사람이 팀장이 될 거야. 알겠어?
이조 팀장 이쪽으로 나와.
출석 교시.
앞을 조금만 더 시켜.
야, 네 조 고치라고 이 새끼야.
응답.
문제야. 줄 서. 어디 버리지? 이리 와. 이리 와. 장벽이 뭐가 문제야?
자, 저희 조 이쪽으로 두 분 나갈게요.
우측으로.
Now, for those of you that have had to do manual labor, carry cement blocks, move a wheelbarrow, move trusses, right? You understand this type of thing, but most people don't today. They don't do manual labor. So all of a sudden, you're moving this log. You got to understand kind of some basic shit that 30 years ago, you do all the time because you worked outside. Now people just don't. This stuff's important, like he's explaining how to set them up to manage the log correctly.
오케이, 됐습니다.
대학생 마음에 안 들어.
맨 뒤에 두 분 반복 할게요. 반복 우측으로. 반복 우측. 오케이, 됐습니다.
뭐가 오케이야? 들어가.
머리에 콩! 머리에 콩! 하나, 둘, 셋! 팔뚝 뻗어. 이거 봐봐. 내 생각에는 이 사람이 무게를 다 들고 있어. 어? 진짜 이기적이다. 진짜 이기적이야.
하나, 둘, 셋.
좌측 어깨 보.
어깨 호. 하나, 둘, 셋. 어깨 호.
가슴 보.
Now, these guys know everybody's going to break at some point physically. You may have a cramp, may have a muscle strain, and they can tell when you're breaking versus when you're just giving up. Or are they going to push you further to see, did you really break? And that's not the disqualification point, unless you're just a total weakling. Do you try to push past it? We're not talking about extensive military training. We're talking about day one of a reality show. People are already tired, chafing. They're not used to it. They want to do it, but maybe they realize, I don't know about this program.
업자세 유지. 업자세 유지. 딴거 할까? 딴거 할까? 딴거 해야 되겠어. 뒤로 채치. 자, 구령 잘 됐습니다. 일성 존나 약해.
Now, this is when people start fighting, right? You ever had a brother and a sister? You're doing something together and you feel like the brother's dogging it, not doing the job. Maybe you're both just frustrated, but you're blaming the other person. The same thing here. You're going to have somebody you think's not doing the job, and they're probably not. But what are you going to do? You're going to start yelling at them, making a big bitch fit out of it. You're going to keep plugging along, and the instructors are going to see that guy and give him the boot.
무릎 조심해. 그냥 밀어. 별거 아니야. 그냥 빡 밀어. 빡 밀어. 앞으로. 자, 만약에 내 구름에 못 맞히면
하나, 둘, 셋.
번호를 잘 기억해야 된다. 아시겠죠? 영철 씨 어디야?
왼쪽 어깨입니다. 왼쪽 어깨입니다.
뭐라고?
왼쪽 어깨입니다.
확실해?
확실합니다. 버립니다.
For like 10, 20 minutes into the video, you see guys dogging it. There's not much cuts into this. They're just tired. Most people aren't used to this type of activity. They're not doing it. How do you train for it, right? Unless you just had a shitty job or you're Conan the Barbarian. It's tough to get used to this. And then people realize this is the beginning. This is the morning. What are we going to do after lunch in the evening? And this is day one. Now we got another 6 months of this or whatever the training cycle is.
누구야?
죄송합니다.
입수.
입수.
그렇게 배웠어?
아닙니다.
입수 어떻게 배웠어? 위치로 원위치.
엎드려 뻗쳐.
멈춰!
다리 목동국 위로 올라간다.
실시! 다리가 위로!
머리 쓰네. 그냥 포항 가고 싶지? 머리 쓰네. 어? 내려.
누구야? 전민규. 대요.
박은규. GIJ 푸셔버는 다운이라고 다운. GIJ 다운이라고 GIJ.
Now, here's where you start to see the difference between men and women physically. She's failing at push-ups. She just doesn't have the same upper body strength. It's the way we're built. Does that mean she can't do a good job at this? No. Is she going to fail physically quicker? More likely than not.
박은규. 낮은 커버 가고 있네. 지혜경.
컴온.
하는 거 할까?
안 돼!
하는 거 해야 되겠어. 이러고 선. 여기서 자기가 존나 못했다. 너무 나이프하다. 손 들어.
선바!
이인율 왜 그래?
이재용 형세!
오바이트 해야 돼?
모래가 들어왔습니다!
뱉어. 박은규.
Wow.
튀어나와. 여러분들은 뒤에 정 보이지? 4명 들 수 있겠지? 내 정이 파손되면 여러분들 다 뒤질 거야. 알겠어? 그래서 조심해서 어깨 공하는 것처럼 들고 와. 실시! 조심해! 존나 비싼 종이야.
There's a good example like the logs. Awkward thing to carry. 4 people, one person pretends like they can't do it or can't do it. It's going to fall, break a foot. All sorts of headaches and arguments ensue. I'm sure that'll happen here.
조심하라고! 종 떨어지면 자기 대가리 깨져. 알겠어? 누가 내리래? 미친 거 아니야? 어깨 뽕! 머리에 뽕! 팔쭉 뻗어! 팔쭉 뻗어!
방금 맞춰!
팔안 뻗어? 팔안 뻗어? 팔안 뻗어? 팔쭉 뻗으라고. 팔쭉 뻗어.
하나, 둘, 셋!
혼자 이리저리.
You know, the histrionics work with your mom or at school, like the faces, but there's really no benefit making a big to-do about it because these guys are just going to pick on you harder. It's not going to matter. You're either going to keep doing it or quit. There's no reason to make a big deal because it's not helping you.
전화해서 왜 소리를 내?
입수!
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 통 내려! 여러분들이 진짜 싫어하는 엎드려 뻗쳐. 목공이 안 되니까 더 싫어하는 거 해야지. 엎드려 뻗쳐! 1번 엎드듯이 유지. 그러면 저 통과. 알겠어? 할 수 있겠지? 자, 정원 대원. 1번 유지. 무릎 닿으면 실패입니다. 자, 15초 경과. 버틸 수 있어.
할 수 있습니다!
버텨. 30초 경과.
The instructors will just make up shit as they go. They can tell if you're truly spent. Maybe it's too much. But they know they've been through it. They've been on shittier times on deployment, in the field, and combat. All these guys have a pretty good sense when somebody's really hurt. And how hurt are they? Well, when you quit, or your knee swells up so big you can't fit into your trousers, that's a good sign.
여러분들 되는데 왜 그런 거야? 지금부터 메디컬 체크할 겁니다. 메릭이 와서 여러분들 검사하고 여러분들 물 많이 드시고 이따가 뵙겠습니다. 수고하셨습니다.
딱히 없습니다.
바쁘신데 지금 뭐 전혀 손 잘 괜찮으세요?
You start needing cortisone and random spray this soon, you ain't gonna make it. It's 2 hours.
저 새끼 뭐야? 누구야? 다 끌리죠?
Boy, she's moving awfully slow. I don't know if it's a preamble to her quitting, but she's moving very slow. I'm surprised they're not screaming at her already.
빨리 들어와. 빨리 들어가. 왜? 뭐가 문제야? 호흡이야 있어? 네. 이거 족도 아니잖아. 이게 바다야? 거뭇보트야. 여기 물 있어봤자 얼마 들어있을 것 같아. Get the fuck out of my face! 족도 아니야. 다 자기 머릿속에 있어. 들어가. 들어가!
Now, would they give the same treatment to the men? I'm jaded, I would say not. Because this is pretty basic, like get back in the boat you've been in several times. He says you're not in the sea. You're trying out for this Bud's reality program. You're going to be in the water. That's part of the deal, right?
뭐가 걱정 두려워했어? 이겨내. 여기서 이걸 못 이겨내면 평생 후회할 거야.
Now, compared to the last one, this is significantly watered down. Because that instructor would pick on you to no end in the last Buds program that these former Korean SEALs did. And maybe trying to make a point that even the weakest in the bunch can do it. Not sure if they're making a social policy point. I hope not.
들어가. 이거 숨 쉬어. 입수해!
Yeah, she ain't gonna make it with this. Now, they may be setting us up for later. You guys want to see more of this, let me know in the comments. They've done a great job in the prior versions of this, really giving some takeaways for your kid playing football, yourself, you're trying to lose weight. But you can't lighten up on something like this, especially when they rely on each other. Nothing may come of it. There's been SEALs that have been in 20 years that saw no combat just because of the time they were in. But the exercises, you're dealing with live rounds. You got to be attention to detail, committed. When you're tired, you got to do shit you don't want to.
다시 입수. 공격. 할 수 있어.
If you like this program, you want to see more, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.